2023, the year of the rabbit, but also the year of many content creators creating their own games. I covered this game a month ago during its first devlog, which showed a bunch of eye candy, but with this devlog, there are some things we can dig in deep and talk about. If you enjoy the tactical FPS genre or enjoy the video, be sure to sub to the channel. Okay, let's go. If you don't know of this game, Transience is a tactical FPS game that takes place in New Houston, where you play the role as an accountant keeping the books balanced in this Max Payne Splinter Cell inspired FPS. Without knowing where to start in this iceberg, let's begin with the gameplay. We see how the attachment system works, and I do have to say, I'm seeing more games utilize this on-the-fly system, but I do believe it's to help keep things moving along. I like it personally, I don't have any complaints. He explains that your character wears a suit that's made out of a bullet-resistant material called non-Newtonian colloid, that when hit, the fluid hardens and absorbs the damage for 3 seconds. If you get hit again, you're golden. That third shot though, your ass better be finding some end caps to replace the fluid, because if not, you'll be having a business meeting with God after 3 to 4 bullets. If you're needing a little bit of help understanding it more, think of the vibranium composition on T'Challa's suit from Black Panther. Essentially, it works the same way. Oh, and the end caps are rare to find. So yeah, honestly, the style of game mixed in with this armor system is going to make this game feel hardcore. You need to be calculated and precise about every decision you make, because you'll end up facing the consequences for it. This helps me segue into another feature that again is going to be very limited, but it's slow motion. You're going to need to collect certain materials in order to gain the ability to use slow motion, so using it sparingly is going to be your best move. Speaking of limited, the HUD was something that they've been focusing on since the reveal. Personally, I like games with a very limited HUD like Ready or Not and even Escape from Tarkov, but they're going to be implementing a toggle between having a HUD and having it completely gone. A game that I can think of right off the top of my head is Scum. You know, you hit the numpad minus and it takes away the HUD, you hit it again, it brings it back. Now, I thought I was going to be the only one to say it. Apparently, a couple people feel the same way about this, but I'm not a huge fan of the bullet counter. It's not bad, but not something I would want in a game of this style. If anything, I think it would be cool to inspect the magazine, and much like the attachment menu, have some sort of UI that pops out showing how many bullets you have left in the magazine. I don't know if it's too ambitious, but it's something I would like to see nonetheless. Another critique I've seen by very few is the visibility bar at the top of the screen. Now that doesn't bother me personally. I know a lot of games tend to put that sort of function in the middle of the screen, much like Chernobylite, but I like how it's out of the way. It's all still a work in progress, so I don't doubt these things will be changed a little bit or replaced entirely in the future. Moving on from that, he touches on the gadget system. This system will be able to shoot what they call a flash pulse, essentially just a flash bang. What I like about it though is that if you bounce it off anything twice, it'll explode, so there's not like a long delay like any other game. Another thing they're working on is a vision pulse, essentially something that'll be able to help you see a heat signature of the enemy through certain materials. Nothing like having predator vision while killing some poor bastard who doesn't know what's about to happen. Fry goes on to say that it's a work in progress, as they don't know what materials they want you to be able to see it through just yet. And if you want an example, just think of the snapshot grenade from Call of Duty, you know, where you throw it, you see the outline of the enemy for about 1 to 2 seconds. That's essentially what I think it's going to be. One more thing he mentions, and arguably the most exciting gadget in my opinion, is the EMP pulse. Throughout the game, there are going to be cameras watching everything you do, like the CIA. The gadget makes it possible to take out any camera lights that are giving you such a hard time. And again, this is very much a work in progress. I do have one critique about the gadget system though. I'm not a big fan of how the gadgets get fired from under the wrist. I'd prefer it to actually get fired above the wrist. And maybe there's a reason for it being this way. I'm not too sure. Moving ahead a little bit to the weapons, we get a really good detailed look at their inspiration for the P90. This is going to have the least amount of customization compared to other classes of weapons, but at least you get a built-in flashlight. You know, that makes up for it. The reason for this is that even though the ARs can be more customizable, the P90 has its own advantages like a bigger magazine, faster fire rate, etc. Plus, it prevents all the guns from feeling the same. He goes on to say that the inspired MP5 and the inspired Sega 12 should be in the game by the next devlog. And seeing the models of these guns, holy shit, they look incredible. The amount of detail on this SMG makes my goddamn liver quiver. I've always been a fan of the weapon and how it looks, so Cody Zim, kudos to you for the great work. I actually checked out his ArtStation page that has more gun models, and oh dear Lord, they are gorgeous. Moving on to the level design, I want to preface by saying that anytime I see these levels, I have to change my damn pants afterwards. Chris, you're an absolute beast of a human being. Right now we're looking at Apartments 2, which is like a hotel slash apartment, and it's an area where we're going to be fighting in. If you're one of those players that hates light bulbs like Twitter users hate freedom of speech, and you enjoy shooting the fuck out of them every chance you get, well, good news. You're gonna be able to shoot out as many lights as your heart can handle. You can't shoot out 100% of them, but a vast majority of them are destroyable to allow more stealth possibilities. While we're on the topic of lighting, they've done some rework of the lighting systems, and to show you how much, let me show you this side by side. Same hallway, different devlogs. Not that I had an issue with the lighting on the left, but compared to the right, it doesn't stand a chance. I can't help but feel like my ass is in the back rooms every time I see the picture on the left. We get to see a new map that lead level artist and designer Frosty has made called Server Facility, and for some damn reason, this reminds me so much of a Halo map. This is a combination of the library from Combat Evolved and the first half to the final mission of Halo 3 where you fight Guilty Spark. You've absolutely nailed the atmosphere, and I can't wait to see what this level looks like when it's done. Now we're getting into the feedback, and this is where you can see the textbook example of what a dev team should do with whatever they receive, as long as it's good feedback. One of the first things Fry mentions is that people were saying the enemies were lit up like Christmas trees. The lights served the purpose of telling what enemies were what. Green equals target practice. These bastards are scared of anything that has a pulse. The bluish, yellowish ones, they're the smart ones of the group. They'll push you if they feel like they're inclined to. With red though, you're gonna end up being in a pamphlet with someone saying what a good person you were. I'm gonna agree with Fry on this and say that I thought these designs were nice. Drives home that futuristic appeal perfectly, but hey, you can't please everyone, am I right? They opted into changing the armor instead, so depending on what the armor looks like, that's what you'll be fighting. Of course, the ones with the weakest armor are going to be the green guys, and then the ones with the heaviest bit of armor are going to be the red guys. You know, if you see anything in between, it's the bluish yellow ones. Now, let's move on to an audiophile's wet dream. The sounds. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to hear anything specifically about the guns, but we're not going to talk about anything else in this video until we listen to this legendary soundtrack. I have never, in my 25 years, heard anything this beautiful in my entire life. Makes me feel like LA Noire took on a cyberpunk aesthetic. It just sounds so beautiful and so damn good. This next section of the video talks about how Fry and his team were being contacted by publishers and other individuals wanting to get involved with the business side of Transience. So what they did was create a shoot house mode that procedurally generates new arenas, so one is not the same as the other. This shoot house mode will allow you to use every weapon in the game to gun down 6 enemies in the fastest time possible. I could be really eager to play the game, but I will say that if you plan on releasing a demo before the game comes out, this game mode could work. It lets the players get a sample of what's to come. Now for some closing thoughts. Words cannot describe the overall hype I have for this game. You know, seeing the changes, the progress, seeing the vision start to become a reality makes me feel very confident about the game's inevitable success. I don't want to overhype this game, but it's really difficult not to when you're seeing what I'm seeing. Fry, thank you so much for allowing me to cover the game. Guys, if you haven't checked out BigFry, you're missing out on someone who delivers brutally honest takes on games in the indie scene, early access genre, and anything first and third person. Also, if you want more information on Transience, I'm going to be leaving links in the description and in the comment section down below. They recently just broke into the top 1% of most wishlisted games on Steam, and it's so deserving. Y'all, GG's for the amount of work that you put in. I can't wait to see the next devlog. Let me know down below what you think about the game. Will it be a success? Do you think it's got a long way to go? Let me know. Before you click off though, make sure to load that like button in some 556 and fire on that sub button downrange so YouTube can bless your eyes with more content from this channel. This is Sir Blackout signing off and listening to that track on repeat. Jesus Christ, it sounds so amazing. Later.